Golden is the communications director for State Representative Laurie Ehrlich. He has been for the past 2.5 years, and this is his first attempt at a run for political office. Haverhill City Council, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank. Happy to be here.
You know, when I take a look at the things that your campaign happens to tout, and they're saying that you want to make city government even more transparent, more responsive, better organized. More transparent how?
Sure. So, in reading about city government and reading about our processes, we have a number of subcommittees that do a lot of the policy work that goes on. We only have 1 or 2 reporters covering the mainline meetings. So a lot of citizens don't necessarily know what happens at the Admin and Finance Subcommittee or the Natural Resources Subcommittee. My belief is that all city councilors should be required to attend those meetings. As a city councilor, I would be posting frequently, like the city council president does on Facebook, about those meetings. I think that there should be a running transcript posted on city websites and city social media to make sure people know that that is happening. On the other side, I used to be a reporter for the Eagle Tribune, and covering the Timberlane School District. Timberlane, it was very easy to stream those meetings on Facebook. And we all know that a lot of people lurk on Facebook all the time and they have a lot of opinions, but too often they lack the primary document, which is watching the actual event itself. So I think that I would push for that heavily if I were elected. And also, there's a lot of documents that city councilors get and the mayor's office gets that don't get widely distributed. Perhaps they should be, because we.
So this is not just theory. This
Sure.
is practice. It's
Absolutely.
practical application.
Yep.
You've seen it occur elsewhere,
Yep.
and it could occur here as well.
Absolutely, and I think that we have a massive community with so many different neighborhoods, and that's a blessing. But what it also means is we need stronger work from our elected officials to bind us together with one coherent narrative as a community that can bring everyone into the same room, that can advance Haverhill into the future. When we all talk about the same issues and know what's going on, we're better informed, we'll make better decisions.
When you talk about also government being more responsive,
Sure.
Is that part of the transparency program that you were talking about earlier, or is there something you'd like to add to that by government being more responsive?
Sure.
How, as an example?
Yeah, how would it be more responsive? So one thing that I'm pushing for heavily is, going to a ward city council system. It's something that we've discussed in Haverhill at points in the past couple decades. I think now is the time, and I'll say why, is our population is increasing a lot. We've got 36 square miles to cover. When residents have an issue, they have a pothole, their light is out, something in the city they need to get fixed or done, and they look at the list of names to call, it's 9 different counselors. They don't always know, unless they know them personally, which person to start with. If they had a ward counselor who was solely beholden to them, I think actually that they would get better responses from having one person whose whole role is to, say, represent Mount Washington or to represent East Bradford. I think that a ward council system in that way could be, in a lot of ways, more responsive.
In a perfect world, I don't think anybody would disagree with you.
Right.
But let's take a real world type of situation. Sure. If you happen to have a ward counselor, and I don't know this to be the case, but if you happen to have a ward counselor in the area that you happen to live in,
right.
and you have a problem,
yeah.
and you talk with that person, and that person is unresponsive.
Sure. What's the fallback?
Your next step is to talk to a counselor at large.
Yes.
I would suggest, which is what we happen to have right now.
Right.
So
right.
The fact is that I don't know. That's almost to suggest that counselors at large are not as responsive to people in various parts of the community because they may not live there, but you don't really have any evidence to back up their non-responsiveness, because do you?
Well, I don't have any specific cases.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a natural phenomenon where, actually I will say so. In campaigning for the last couple months, and trying to cover an entire city,
sure.
Candidates are beholden to people who consistently vote, right? So you're only going to knock doors or really try to spend money on getting signs in neighborhoods where people consistently vote. Now, are there registered voters in other parts of town? Absolutely. There are neighborhoods where there are plenty of people with real issues who, they don't get their doors knocked because they may not vote at the same rate. And I think that a ward council system means that those people, their votes will be sought because that ward will be won or lost on their vote.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's not the only reason for ward councilors too. Just to shift it really briefly, there's also an issue of the only people who can be at-large councilors either have a ton of time or a lot of money. I'm lucky, I'm privileged, right? I've been able to raise a decent amount of money to get signs everywhere, to do mail, do social media, and I don't have kids, right? I'm a young guy, my girlfriend and we live downtown, so I have a lot of hours in the weekends to knock, and I've been knocking for months. But a single parent, a working person on a wage job with good ideas, it hinders our democracy and our ability to share ideas and move the city forward, and the pool of talent we can have run for office because of the fact that you have to knock 10,000 doors over 36 square miles. It's next to impossible for someone without massive resources or pre-existing name recognition. So it creates a barrier that only those who are already really well known or a family name that's really powerful can serve, and that is anti-democratic in a lot of ways, I think.
Okay. When you talk about city government also being better organized,
Sure.
Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, better organized will literally change the city charter. I think that we need to enter into a weak mayor system from a strong mayor system because, I think we need to shift to a system in which the council has more say over not just the budget, but appointments, commission appointments. I think that the council is elected for a reason. I think that just having an every 2 years elected mayor over the last however many decades we've had this system, who has full control over city government, makes the council, instead of an equal partner, really sometimes a moot point.
Don't all appointments that the mayor happens to make require approval from the city council?
A significant number of them are non-confirming commission appointments. So, for example, there's various environmental commissions that are, you'll see it on the city agenda, it'll say, or council agenda rather, non-confirming appointment, where the council just has to say, yes, we got it, thanks, go. The other thing with an organization that I've heard from small businesses is the undue burden of a lot of really old licenses that we haven't talked about and re-examined in a long time.
Licenses such as?
Business licenses. So the entertainment license, you have a list on the entertainment license whether your business will be using a radio or a TV, right? I mean, that level of granular bureaucracy, I've heard directly from people, can cause problems. And I think that making it easier for businesses to organize by streamlining the licensing process in the city as best we can. I know there's been some work on that, but when I mean better organized, I mean that. I mean making government something that is not onerous or bureaucratic for the day-to-day citizen.
Just
Yes.
update when you're talking about radio and
Modernize.
TV.
Yeah.
Okay, versus you're saying organizations rather than use radio and TV would use other forms of entertainment, but those aren't even included or described or discussed in the
Well, I
license.
actually mean, I don't think that a city business should have to have a license that allows them to have a TV in their business. That seems kind of ridiculous to me. It's a little too involved. You know, I think we have limited enough resources in the city in terms of lawyers and the legal department in making sure that, for example, abandoned properties are being treated properly, or that we're handling those problems. Then, we should be using those departments for that purpose.
When you refer to bold action to provide quality education and effective public safety, let's take the first one first. We've only got a couple of minutes here.
Sure.
But bold action to provide quality education,
Right.
meaning?
So it's just clearly time to end the austerity program that we've been leading. And by austerity, I mean, because of the various economic crises that the city's faced and the impact it's had on our credit rating, we have entered into a state where we are always cutting corners rather than investing significantly in education. And even at the state level, we know at the state legislature there's a real focus on meeting our obligations and providing a really good education for kids. So that means, if we need to rebuild a school, let's rebuild a school. If we need to make sure that classrooms aren't overcrowded, we have to do so. And that just means we have $10+ million in free cash in the city budget. And I've covered small towns in New
Are you
Hampshire.
talking about reserves?
Yes. Well, no. And every year, we get free cash that's left over from the previous budget. That is,
Okay.
The budgets are written in a way that if you have overruns, you can accommodate it. But we've been so overcautious about those overruns. There's millions of dollars in free cash. That is a pool that I think should be used.
And in about 30 seconds, if you can just tell me relative to public safety.
Sure. So I want to be out there to fight for a better contract for police, such that we can compete in hiring. Because what I've heard from people, all the edges of town, on the New Hampshire line, downtown, we need more officers on the beat. That's a flat and simple thing. And we need to create a climate in the department where people want to choose Haverhill as a recruit, and we want to
And
make
that'll
sure
have to be the last word, Nick.
that they are paid well enough.
Very good.
Perfect.
We appreciate your being here. Nick Golden, running for Haverhill City Council. Wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Frank.
We hope that this program has been a point of reference for you. And until next time, my name is Frank Novak, and thanks very much for watching. And remember to vote on Election Day, Tuesday, November 5th.